Yo, and we back. Grassroots Podcast. Be sure to check us out. Grassroots Pod on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Be sure to subscribe. Hit the notification button on the upper right-hand corner to be notified for the latest and greatest episodes. I was on a good run, not stuttering at that part.
You did all right.
A little bit, right?
You did all right.
A little bit.
Good job, man.
Thanks, guys. I like this love, this camaraderie.
Probably to change your shirt.
Yeah, probably.
Damn, she ain't have to shout that out like that.
Quick, right? Quick, right?
That was a behind the scenes.
What's that joint made of? Is that cotton?
I don't know. It feels
Should
good.
look mad stretchy.
Is it breathable?
It makes my body feel good.
All right.
That's all that matters.
As he's grasping his titty.
Yeah. You got to grasp a titty when you feel good. All right, forget it. This is getting weird. All right, it's fine.
We shouting out shirts?
Yeah, here you go. Come on. I actually like this shirt.
Go,
This shirt
baby.
is fire.
Fade life.
Fade life.
Fade life out
All
of
right.
Philly.
Relax. So, yeah, be sure to check us out. I'm one of the hosts, Brandon Killabh Hall.
Erin Ashley Simon.
I am the real Remy LeBeau. You don't even know who that is. Regular Nas?
Yeah, just say that. Just say that. Don't just say that. It's fine.
I'm Wilson.
All right, and we have a guest today.
Yeah, you do.
It's
Me.
I'm ready for this energy.
Yeah.
I'm Ari.
Ari, come on, speak up,
okay.
Ari.
I didn't know this
Tell
was
everyone.
about me.
You gotta drop your plug right now. This is your plug moment.
Ari Chambers. Call me Ari. At Ari Ivory on every social platform because I like things universal. So,
Okay.
There's me.
What'd you do?
nice.
What do you do?
I am a WNBA reporter, model, ex-cheerleader.
Okay.
Love sports. So I do that for a living.
What's the platform that you help build?
Oh my God. Bleacher Report just hired me 2.5 weeks ago to build the women's platform for House of Highlights. And it's
Fire.
called WeAreJayla.
Fire.
WeAreJayla. Follow it right now. Or we can do this after.
Or we can do it after.
Or we can do it after. It's WeAreJayla.
All right. So we got a lot to cover today.
Hold on, you ranch, right?
No, I actually was a cheerleader my whole life, my entire life.
Just so you know now, she will smoke you.
Yeah.
Even though she did not run track, she will still beat you.
Yeah, I think so too. I think anyone can smoke him though, but whatever.
Props.
All right, so Chamillionaire E-40 back in the news. I think we've been paying a lot of homage to Chamillionaire for quite some time, just with his tech investments and him being forward-thinking in business. He's then partnered with E-40, investing in new startups founded by women and people of color. In quotation marks, it says, we have to create more diversity in this industry. So let's open it up. I mean, I feel like this is a no-brainer, right? Like, how if anyone's gonna fund a project, I'm okay for Chamillionaire funding a project. He went from rapper to entrepreneur to tech god in my mind, the way he's moving, and now he's trying to do things that not only are gonna empower, obviously minorities, but women. So, what do you guys think?
I think it's dope. That's why I think he did this before with just African Americans, and it was like 10,000.
Yeah.
And now he's moving forward with just women and people of color. So I think it's dope.
Yeah, he was smart about it. His portfolio includes Lyft, Ring, which was acquired by Amazon for $1 billion, Cruise acquired by GM for $1 billion, Maker Studios acquired by Disney for $675 million, and his net worth is upwards of $25 million. So
crazy.
I think he really knows what he's doing in terms of the investment space. It's interesting, right? Like, of course, like diversity is something that clearly they're trying to address, but I feel like diversity and inclusion is constantly still an issue within every industry. And it's crazy because even though people are taking the necessary steps, and I also think like people's terminology of what diversity is so different. Like people think, oh, like jobs, right? They'll be like, oh, we have our like, I don't know, like we have a team of 10, and we have this guy he's a white man, but he's gay, and this one they're Asian and it's black. It's like, oh, we have diversity.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's not necessarily like just because you fill the criteria of having one gay guy, one black person, like a check mark. And I feel like that's such a big problem in tech and just in many industries. I even think there's a diversity issue within music and entertainment.
100% is. I mean, well, it's clear that women struggle in music. Women don't get the same accolades. We cover this all the time. Women don't get the same accolades and or they're not afforded the same luxuries as men are in hip hop. That's just something I think women have been fighting for mad long, and it's just now getting to the point where you have the Rhapsodies of the world, you have a whole bunch of other artists out there that are doing something, and people see the value in it. So I think that's dope. My only thing is How do you feel when you see the name E-40 attached? I think this more so goes towards you. You love E-40.
Yeah, 'cause E-40
you would
he's
definitely drink his bathwater. So let's just.
Let's not get crazy. Let's wheel that back in. You guys making fun of E-40, but he's been around since '86.
Who's making fun of E-40?
That man's a
Kyle?
legend. You show some goddamn respect.
At no point am I making fun of E-40.
No, I'm talking about Kyle. I'm throwing Kyle under the bus.
Oh, okay.
Kyle's acting brand new since he got a little associate producer credit on a certain documentary. So
That's all right. You winning though. It's okay.
no, but E-40 he's been made. He does wine. He does real estate, and he's basically. As far as independent rappers, he's fathered this whole thing, man, since '86. So
It's like one thing to, believe in something, but another thing to invest in it.
Yeah.
So kudos to them for extending beyond music and, touching all parts of blackness. I'm for the black people.
Yeah. Well, what do you think their obstacles will be with this, though? Because, again, you have two urban artists now getting into a whole different space, a whole different business. Your ethics change, the way your business practices change, even how people engage you and how people take to you changes. Do you think that they'll have like some struggles there now, being in maybe a corporate environment or something that's a little bit more structured than what they're used
Am I
to?
ignorant? Do they not have experience like investing in that? Like I think money talks. You know what I mean? So like I think that you would have to respect the investor.
And honestly, the business is like the streets.
Yeah.
There's supply, there's demand, there's certain rules, certain everything, right? Code of conducts and everything like that. So I think that honestly, rappers, if put in the right environment, can actually be the best business people.
I think so too.
Like Jay-Z and Diddy and all them.
Yeah, I think so too. I think when you get both sides of the business, street and just education and in school education, I feel like you're really a threat. So I'm happy about this. I mean, again, we've all reached out to Chamillionaire for quite some time just to try to get him on, just because of his forward thinking and how he handles business. So I'm excited to see what happens with this shit. I think it's gonna be major.
Quick question: do you guys feel like it's good for us, not just them, but it's good for us in general to invest in minority businesses? But where do we draw the line where it's like investing in a product that we think has substance and not necessarily always investing because it's black owned, right? Like in the sense of like there are different companies and different individuals who are black who own their own businesses and stuff like that, right? But where do we draw the line where it's like we want to support, we want to invest in a black business, but not in the point where it's like you're only investing because they're black, but the product itself isn't good.
Gotcha.
You have to
Like where do we
evaluate
draw
that.
that line?
Research.
Like within where you're putting your money. You have to see longevity in it, because that's a lot of times, especially this day and age, we're focused on the fast thing. So if I were them, I would look and see what's sustainable for a long amount of time.
Yeah.
But what if the sustainability doesn't come unless you put the money in because they don't have the financial resources to show you that it has the capability?
Or you don't have a sound business plan, now, do you?
I don't think anybody's just going to invest in any business just because they're black.
Yeah. Well, no.
No, there are some grants. There are some grants that are specifically for black owners.
Name one.
But even all of that,
Small Business Association has small grants.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
No, I'm saying what black business got invested into that?
Just because he's saying
Just because they were black and it wasn't a good idea, or
Well, NBA players throw their money around a lot of
Well,
stupid
we still
ideas.
need
Yeah,
to,
that's true.
pay mind to have like an actual business plan that we believe in. Like it's not like they're gonna throw money at something random just because.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think it's cavalierly thrown out. I just think that it
No, they have a whole team behind it.
Yeah, like-
Chamillionaire.
Yeah.
No, that's it.
I don't
Chamillionaire
know
and
if-
E-40 have a whole team.
That's what I'm saying. I think the line is already drawn.
Yeah, they have a whole team that's going to evaluate everybody's business plan before
Yeah.
they invest $25,000.
But
Honestly, black women probably overly prepared anyway. So I mean,
no,
that's right.
well,
Like we have checked the
Yeah.
boxes. We have gone back and forth because we can't afford.
I feel like that's a woman thing in general, though.
But there are grants that specifically look at, are you black? Okay, that's the first check mark. Then after that is assessing the product and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, part of investment is taking that risk because you don't know if it's actually going to work. You're actually like the initial angel investors, they invest for the purpose of a promising future.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen.
Well, it's almost like gambling. It's the same shit. You have $100 in your pocket. You go to Vegas or AC, wherever you go. You're not guaranteed a winnings. You know what I'm saying? You're not even guaranteed you coming back with money in your pocket. But you go just for that chance. That's just like business. Again, obviously, you just have a little bit more on paper than you do with casino machinery and timing and all that encompasses that. But I just think when you think about Chamillionaire and him as a whole, like kind of his path, I think he's made some smart investments. So I wouldn't be all that concerned with that aspect of it.
And the risk of failure is not because of black. You know what I mean? It's like there's always going to be a risk of failure.
And that's my other thing. While there's a black, I guess, cadence with it, because obviously it's women and women of color or minorities rather, it doesn't have that stigma of, you know, hey, this is what's happening because it's black. You get what I'm saying? Like people are really, I like that people are focusing on this just because it's Chamillionaire and E-40 and they're doing something for women and for the culture, not because it's E-40 and Chamillionaire are doing this because they want to support black people. I feel like there's a difference there. Even how that statement is presented and even how this, whatever this is being marketed, it's not marketed towards a race thing, but it is.
I mean, even if it was, I wouldn't have a problem with it because there are. We have seen, whether it's with mortgages or other aspects of like the economy, right? Black people have been at a disadvantage when it comes to certain things. Even like getting loans to open up a business store, it's harder for black people to go to a bank and get that money than it is someone else. Yeah. So for me, like I don't mind the fact that they specifically are targeting people of color and people who are black. Now, obviously, the product has to be substantial, but I'm fine with him saying, I want the focus to be on black people and people of color, and then the product will be second, right? Yeah. It's, I just think it's super important, especially in spaces like in tech spaces where you don't see a lot of black-owned tech businesses at this point.
Definitely.
I agree with Erin.
All right. Yeah, I agree. All right, we'll move on. Shout out to those guys.
Yeah, invest in us.
Yeah, I was about to say invest in us. Answer my DM.
I'm not kidding. Invest.
We black too.
Yeah, word. I hit that nigga. I hit Chamillionaire like, yo, man, love what you're doing, man. And you just sit back. Thank you. You ever give somebody a long spiel like, yo, man, I just think what you're doing is really great and everything is fantastic. And he's like, oh, yeah, thanks, word. Yeah, word. Like, word. I feel like he gave me like one of the basketball player shits. Like you see a basketball nigga in like a garage or somewhere in the mall, like, oh my God, Jordan, I love you so much. Like, thank you, man, I appreciate you. And just walk off. Like I feel like he said that, but just in text.
That's what Jordan did to him.
Yeah. Well, I feel like
Jordan jeans.
Damn, did he Jordan me on the low?
But like, what did you want from him though?
Thank you. What was your end goal?
What did you expect back?
He transferred that energy.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing. I don't. Whenever I reach out to people, I don't have an expectation. It's a plus when you answer, because then I know once I have you, I can talk. I know how to articulate my points.
Not with that thing.
But it's just the.
And now the DM will go through. So I mean, now.
Well, yeah, you know. Yeah. I mean, there's stalking. There's other ways. It's fine.
Anyways.
It's whatever. All right, so we've obviously been gearing up for this for quite some time, especially between Joe Rogan and Kanye, and then obviously the announcement of David Letterman's reboot to his show on Netflix. Season 2 just is up now on Netflix, but particularly because Kanye is on the show. So recently in the news, Kanye was originally supposed to do Joe Rogan's podcast, allegedly. They had some sort of conversation about it. They arrived to the point where it never got done. I don't know what happened. No one really knows. But
well, Joe Rogan did address that.
Well, no. I know Joe Rogan addressed that, and we'll get there, right? So fast forwarding, again, the announcement comes out with David Letterman's show, and Kanye is on there. So I was excited. I was really, really, really excited. I didn't know when the interview took place. I didn't know what the context would be. I knew that there would be restraints. I also, looking at it, or prior to looking at it, I'll say I kind of knew that we wouldn't get a lot of answers, even though I feel like I got a whole bunch of answers from this shit. I got a whole bunch of answers. It was a little bit clearer than things have been. What do you guys think? What were some of your takeaways with this shit? And then also I want to know, like, because obviously with the time frame of when this happened, this isn't. It's not recent, but it's recent. Like it's all the way up to the point where he starts doing the Sunday services, but they still kind of focus in on his last project. So I don't know. Definitely marketing, obviously. There's no coincidence. This shit comes out Friday, the 1 year anniversary of I don't like being bipolar. It's awesome, whatever. I can't remember what it is. But that album comes out the next day, which is the 1 year anniversary. So obviously they've aligned, right? Did that jade you guys at all, knowing that, okay, this may be one big marketing thing for both David as well as Kanye?
I think it's great. That's all I got.
That's all you got.
You don't want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, anyway.
Well, it was a good interview, I think, for both of them. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Especially for Kanye. I wouldn't say that anything was off the table in that interview.
Oh, he openly said something was off the table. He said, I can't name that man and his kid.
He said, I can't talk about Drake or his family.
Yeah.
But then he still mentioned Drake and quoted one of his rap lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was a good interview for the most part. Mm-hmm. But you don't really learn anything new in it.
Oh, I did. I learned a lot.
I learned something about with him and his what he was talking about. Sorry, I learned something when he was talking about like with him and his mother.
I learned mad shit. All right, let's share. What did you guys learn today? Come on.
Nice.
Good.
He can even make David Letterman look dope. Did you see the threads? Fire.
David apparently paid for it.
All right, so not for nothing, I did think that I thought Dave arrived there in Yeezy shit. And he left. Like, I didn't really see, like, did you notice the jeans that David put on versus the jeans that he had on? Wasn't really that much of a difference. But
to the
all right, here you go. But
to the trained eye.
Well, no. But
Trained eye.
I did like Dave and Yeezy shit. But that's surface shit, right? So, all right, I'm gonna get into a bunch of shit that I picked up from here. For me,
I will say that it made me look at Kanye in a different light, because before then I was like, F him, like he's ridiculous, ridiculous. I understand the mental health aspect of it, but like at some point you have to be like, okay, I have to take responsibility as being a voice for the people.
Definitely.
And all the asinine things that come out of his mouth, and even when he was explaining the Trump situation in the interview, I was still cringing, because it's beyond freedom of speech. It's just like, you have to know when you are literally offending a body of people. I mean, granted, he has the right to do that, but you can't be mad at the backlash and saying they're bullying you. I know y'all have already covered this in a different podcast, but it's just like... Well,
no, we're rehashing shit anyway,
like,
but go ahead.
Literally, you can't just be like, I don't understand, like, y'all push me down when I'm, like, announce this, and I'm just like, yo, it's the belief of it. It's beyond saying, hey, I don't like this person, I don't like what this stands for. It's literally directly offensive to the people who support you.
I think, all right, so here's some takeaways from me.
Well, I mean,
it touches a lot on what you're saying, but I think there's layers, right?
Yeah.
The first major thing that stands out to me is the comparison between Andy Kaufman and himself. Do y'all know who Andy Kaufman is?
Break it down.
Yeah.
Break it down for the viewers.
I know you know who this is. In short, Andy Kaufman is an entertaining genius who got lost in a character who then lost himself.
Allegedly.
Andy Kaufman played another character. He was a failed comedian at one point and tried to get on Chitlin circuits and wasn't doing well. So he created an alternate person. What's that? I'm having a brain fart. What is that called? Alter ego. Thank you. That's what it is. Alter ego. Thank you. He creates an alter ego, which then takes off. You see him on shows like Tax. You see him on doing stand-ups. You see him doing late night shows. You see him on wrestling. He then created himself into an actual wrestler. So in short, for people that don't know about him, he is someone that really lived and breathed his acting craft and his passion to the point where allegedly it changed his own reality. He couldn't tell whether he was this character that he had been trying to sell to TV networks and to people, or if he was truly Andy Kaufman. So that's one thing that was very, very interesting. And even you can see David, you can see his reaction to it. He said, Andy Kaufman. He said, what's the connection there? And Kanye says he gives me bravery. He convinced me that I could be myself or create something else. That was one thing that was really interesting.
And that's weird because it's like he lost himself. in the process.
Yeah, but I won't say that because again, there's a few things, right?
Well, wait, with who?
You mean Andy Kaufman?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm talking about Andy Kaufman.
Oh yeah. I thought you were saying. Kanye.
Did he lose himself though? Because the greatest joke was he didn't die.
Well, that was the thing. How Andy Kaufman allegedly dies, because again, I hate to say the whole alleged thing because I kind of put him in that same box with like Pac and all them when you have that, oh, he's alive, not alive. But again, it is one of those things that's like, even his close friends, family members, like ex-girlfriends, they don't know if he's dead or not because he was a constant like joke, and not joke disrespectfully, but he was a walking bit. That's what I'm looking for. He's a walking bit. That's what he was, constantly. Like, even when he discovers that he has cancer, it took his whole crew maybe like a week for them to really take into consideration that, yeah, he's not lying. This isn't a bit. Like, he talked about family members dying. He did all types of bits just to do it. No intention, just doing it, just to see if he can pull it off. So when he announces that he has cancer, they're like, all right, yeah, Andy, knock it the fuck off. Like, we're not paying no mind to that shit.
So how does Andy Kaufman, or the comparison, resonate with you in connection to Kanye?
I think that's partially what happens to Kanye. I think Kanye's brain.
You think he gets so enthralled in his characters?
I do, and I think you jumble that up in a gumbo of emotion, passion, drive, creativity, and then lunacy. Because again, I feel like all people of that cloth, even everyone in this room, when you're a creative, you have that kind of lunacy. I think you gumble all of that up. And then you add on the cherry of mental health. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're going to get that.
Well, maybe all lunacy isn't bad.
Well, I'm not even getting there. Because even in the lunacy, for this interview, for me, it was super clearer than I think it's ever been for me, right? What was the other shit that stuck out for me? His father.
I've never heard him talk about it.
I've only heard about 3 times where Kanye mentions his father in this type of setting, where it's one of those. It's not. It's like a one-way train. Like, there's no avoiding the conversation. David is asking a direct question that's not hard, but it's hard to answer. And even in his responses of that, of him saying, yo, like, you know, like, me and my pops, we kicked it, but my pops kind of did the same thing when I was younger. Like, he also had these outbursts. He just wasn't as famous. And then he follows up by saying, I'm genetically designed this way. It's just me. Mm-hmm. I can't explain it. It's just me. It's just something that happens. Again, that's telling. You think about any of us in this room or in the world matter. There's always someone that we look up to. It could be mentors. It can be I don't know, fucking superhero. I don't know. It could be whatever. Nas, porn stars. I don't know, whatever it is. Whoa. But when
don't drag my name.
But all jokes aside, but when you have these things, you idolize people. You tend to kind of take up after them. It's a natural thing. And I'm not saying you take up after everything, but I think, again, when you think about Gumbo rather, and you mix in a pot of genetics, how he was raised, who he idolizes, his beliefs in being a freedom speaker. His mom taught him that. Father gives him his creative side. And then you jumble it up with everything else, like I've been saying: mental health, self-awareness, feeling lost, not having that safe haven. Your mom still dealing with that. Did y'all see him start to tear up?
I was about to say, I felt like he hasn't dealt with it yet.
No, he hasn't.
Like, even when he was trying to talk, like, even the subtle things, like when he was talking about like Donald Trump and his own personal beliefs in that, and then how like liberals are bullying and stuff like that. He was very consistent, but when he was talking to his mom, you could see the change in mannerisms, and even the way that he was talking. Like, you could tell that shit is still affecting him, and he hasn't dealt with it.
He still feels guilty for it. So that's
what I thought. That's what I thought.
Like, still guilty.
I think Kanye's biggest thing. That was the one thing I arrived with after the mom section is Kanye feels guilty.
Yeah.
Kanye 100%. Feels guilty. That's all it is.
When he talked about the bear, the bear that his mom got, and he was just like, what? And then when she passed away, he was like trying to find it as a way to like still kind of keep a piece of her and to put her above
Honor her.
everyone else that
Yeah.
you know. I forget. I don't know how to pronounce that guy's name. Who's the artist?
I can't pronounce it.
I can't pronounce it. I'm not.
I'll find it. Chris, can you get the name?
It's almost like Takashi.
Yeah, that's
It's
what I was gonna
something
say,
like
that was
that.
gonna-
It's something like that. But the fact that that's someone
That's
he
some rich people shit. I
idolized.
can't pronounce that shit.
It's like someone he idolized, and then
Yeah.
like it took, like his mom had to pass in order for him to put, literally metaphorically and literally put her above the person he idolized the most.
But
So
that's almost like interesting to me because they at the end they kept talking about therapy and stuff like
Psychotherapy.
that. But it was like psychiatry. So he didn't. Did he actually talk through this, or did they give him pills?
That's the thing again where you can see the edits.
Yeah.
You can see where shit was cut. There was a lot of edits in the shit. There's a lot of blank spots. Like even at the end when David is talking and they're kind of wrapping up and you see the clips of the Sunday service shit.
Yeah.
Do y'all not see how abruptly it ends and says,
Yeah.
all right, well, thank you. And you can
Yeah.
see it. You can see that stuff was happening. That's TV magic.
Who's? Oh, sorry. Go.
Oh, no, I just wanted to say what stood out for me in the interview was when Kanye basically said that he has friends and family members that have voted for Trump, and they're afraid to speak out. And he says when he wears the red hat, you know, it's kind of to stand up to them being bullying or being afraid to stand out. Now, he said, you know, he doesn't wear the red hat for politics or anything like that. But then David Letterman asks him, did you vote? Kanye says no. David Letterman says, well, then you don't have a say.
You don't have a
He
say.
said, I never voted.
Yeah,
He said, I've never voted in my life.
Neither have I. I can relate. So he says, you don't have a say. And then Kanye, after the crowd goes crazy, he goes, oh, you got me. Then he goes, well, who's to say who can have a say?
That part made me very uncomfortable. I'm sorry, like Kanye's reaction made me very uncomfortable.
Well, this is
But
where, this is where-
David
I
Letterman
get
kind
you.
of bullied him right there. Can you see that?
No,
I don't think that was- no, that wasn't a
bully.
liberal bully.
So hold on.
Telling a man that he doesn't have a say
So listen.
in something?
So hold on.
If you don't
hold
have
on.
a voice in
Before-
politics, how are you going to be political?
That's my thing. So
But
hold
he
on.
said this is nothing political.
Wait. Before
But
we
it's-
jump there,
it's
because
literally a
I
vote.
feel like that was one of the bigger conversations there, and that's where the interview takes a turn, right? So let's fast forward. Hold on. Energy change. Let me comments. Dave stepping in. Explain difference. Okay. So boom. So yeah, because that was my last little.
All right, so
opener.
boom.
Yeah. That's how you got to go into it. Or bong. Just Jersey
How
shit.
New
bong.
York of you.
Yeah.
Anyways, but-
All right, so bong. I told you that's how I got to start the shit. Bong, right? The moment he mentions
Nas, you may need to put the shades on.
the political, how do I put this? The moment he starts to go into his political, I won't say agenda, I'll say view, because he doesn't claim to be political. He doesn't see sides. Let's say view, right?
see signs if he says liberals are bullying.
Oh,
him,
but yes,
whatever.
correct.
Okay,
That is kind of true though.
that's
It-
literally.
I don't like people that voted for Trump neither. But there is a little bit of
There's not liberal bullying.
There-
There's, I mean, there is, but it's not. That's I really.
There's truth into what he's saying. So, and this is where I've arrived to. And it's not, for me, it's not a right wrong. My whole sole purpose in looking at the interview is, especially after, because by this time it was 30, 40 minutes in. I'm getting a better understanding. That's my sole purpose for this, right?
Yeah.
His whole purpose was, yo, I'm tired of being bullied. I've always been bullied my entire life, told what not to do, who not to be. Now, if it's something that's happening globally, like Trump, like this whole big thing that's happening, and people are saying don't go with it, I'm gonna go against it just because of the fact that you guys are telling me I can't do it. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He goes about things. At least this is what I got from it. He is 100% always going to go against the grain just because he's always been told to not go against the grain, and he's been feeling controlled behind it.
But he also shows a little bit of the side of himself that is. It will be the side that it's at his demise, where he talks about Jay-Z and the ego aspect within Jay-Z's music, and he's like, we all put a little bit of ego in our music, but it's just like, for Kanye though, the reason why, listen, I've never had issues with black people being conservative. I actually have friends who are being conservative, but my whole thing was, like I keep saying, is it's not that, like, I'll listen to have an understanding, right? Mm-hmm. But you can't sit here and say you love Trump without and you're completely ignoring some of the things that he's done and
100%,
said.
100%.
Like, you can love someone and they still have their flaws and stuff like that. But if you truly love someone, then you're willing to openly say, you know what, I know what he does, X, Y, and Z is wrong, but I still love him because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
That's, at the end of the day, that's all I want, because he also has to understand the climate that we're in right now. Like, there are people that are so encouraged by what Trump does that they're willing to just go and, like, fuck someone up just for being black, right?
Yeah.
Or doing things just because they're black. And I think that that's a missing part. It's not like back in the era where it was Bush, right?
Yeah.
Like, the racist people are going to always be racist, but we're in a period of time where the closeted racist people feel encouraged and are okay with doing this extra racist and enabling shit. And you have to be, in a way, it's like he has to be careful because people view him as the voice of black people.
I agree.
Like Fox News, whenever he says, "Oh, I love Trump, black liberals are horrible," Fox News, it says, "Yeah, black liberals are horrible."
Yeah.
So that's my thing, is like, there needs to be some sort of responsibility when it comes to free thought. I don't think the issue of him having free thought is the issue. It's just understanding the power and the responsibility that you have as someone who is a mega platform. And being able to convey that message in the appropriate way.
I agree.
Like, remember when he first started doing his rants and we were like, you know, let's listen. And some of the stuff we agreed with.
Yeah.
But it's like, you yourself have to formulate that in a way that's concise and people can understand it. Sometimes that means, like, don't just speak because you just think it.
Yeah.
Take the time to appropriately put the message out in the right way.
I agree. I want to circle back to Ari and Wilson's now liberal conversation. Again, the moment Dave shuts him down and says, yo, when Kanye says, I've never voted in my life, and David says, oh, okay, well, you don't have a say in this conversation. I agree with him.
I agree as well, because you're enabling.
I agree with him. I feel like it's the same thing when it's similar to you being, I don't know, us being here. A crime is committed. I see you get hurt, but I say nothing. But I don't do anything either. I don't go to the police and say, oh, yo, I saw Wilson was assaulted, but I then don't say, all right, well, I didn't see anything. You not doing anything still is a problem.
Hold on. So because he didn't vote, he can't say, I think that these people are being bullied? He can't say that?
No. What I'm saying is...
But that's what Dave said he can't have say on.
No, he can't have a say on the political sides. He can't have a say on how the government is run.
If you're campaigning for a specific person that you did not vote for or had no say so in the voting process, like, how can you? It's an endorsement. What he's doing is an endorsement.
Yeah.
So he can't do that if, like, you have no say in the process.
But if he clearly states, I'm not talking about the man's politics.
He's wearing the literal campaign slogan.
But then he says, the reason why I love Trump is because he was never supposed to rise to power. And I'm inspired by that. Just because you hate someone doesn't mean that you can't acknowledge or be inspired by them. And that's the problem. That's what he's fighting. That's what he's saying. He's being bullied, or his friends are being bullied, or whatever.
That goes back to Erin's clarity.
But it's also, like I said, if you love someone, then you should be able to acknowledge the flaws.
Yeah.
You can't sit here and say, oh, I love him because of this, but not, like, if you were raised, especially with his mother and what he has done for Chicago, you can't sit here and then not acknowledge that point, because then it makes you look like a hypocrite.
But he does say that he doesn't agree with everything Trump says. He did say that before.
And he also preaches stuff for black people all the time on his albums.
Yeah. He did say, I don't agree with everything President Trump says.
So, all right.
No, but that's even a vague statement in itself.
Yeah, so the problem is, like, all right.
But it just gets fucked up when, a man gets called all types of names, hated on and shit, just because he's not saying what you want him to say.
But there were some people who had a respectful conversation with him about their thoughts in a closed environment, not in front of anyone, and he still went ahead and shared that shit and we threw it out. How and if you're saying that he's being bullied, then how is that being respectful to a person who's taken the time to really just have a conversation with you, friend to friend, man to man?
J. Cole?
Yes, I'm referring to
J. Cole did the same thing to Wale on a song. where he shared their personal conversations.
But that doesn't make it right. Period.
Yeah,
no matter what.
The act, regardless, is
literally
wrong.
that's
The
not
act is
helping
wrong.
Kanye's situation. That's wrong for wrong.
Whether he does it, you do it, it's wrong. If you want to have an environment of free thought and having someone having that one-on-one conversation with you, especially with someone who's up in his echelon of like notoriety and stuff, the last thing that you need to do is then post the conversations that you're having, because then you are actually going against what you want, is that free thought environment where anyone can speak. You guys can speak to each other, no matter your different views. You can speak with each other in a safe environment where the conversation is not going to go out. You're going against what you want by doing that. Do I think that J. Cole is right for doing that for Wally? No. Do I think that Drake is right for doing the similar thing? No. But if that's what you want, is a space to have free thought and having people be comfortable with being different, the last thing you need to do is make them not feel comfortable enough to have those kind of conversations.
Exactly.
With
What was
you.
your intention behind posting? You know what I mean? It's just like, it's ridiculous.
Well, the other thing for me as well is, even with the point of Kanye, I think what pisses people off the most is that you can see that there is a level of clarity with Kanye, right? He understands that he's ruffled feathers. He understands that how he even went about it, putting the hat on, it's unorthodox. Mm-hmm. But I think the fact that he, with even all of that, doesn't at least kind of, I want to say, adjust maybe, because now knowing that he offended so many people, I think that's what pisses people off even more. I don't think it's to Erin's point, I don't think it's a conversation of, yo, you can't you can't believe in who you want to believe in, you can't vote for who you want to vote for, you can't be you. I don't think it's that. It's okay, you're being you, but yo, in turn with you being you and being ignorant to certain things, you're uplifting a certain culture, and you're uplifting a certain government that is not geared towards helping you at the end of the day. And I think that's why there's a disconnect with Kanye, and I also think that's the reason why people hold him in a certain box, because of that fact. And you know, and that's just kind of where I laid with it. But
the one thing I can commend him for is that when he did have the conversation about mental health, he said, I will only tell you from my experience. Mm-hmm. I'm not a doctor. This is only what I can say from my experience. I think that is important, because he can speak from the perspective of him dealing with these illnesses. Yeah. But since he is a notable person, like, you have to be mental health conversations, like, you have to also be mindful and careful about the things that you say. Even so David, I do appreciate the fact that he says, I'm not talking from a doctor's perspective. I'm not telling you that you shouldn't take medication or anything like that, but this is just my experience. Yeah. And I did like the way that he handled that. Mm-hmm. Are you gonna say something?
No, that's a good note. I defend Kanye. You say something nice about him, I'm not gonna stop.
See, that's the problem right there. You love him so much.
You're an enabler.
I get bullied. I'm a victim. I'm getting bullied right now.
Oh man.
All right, so here's my last thing, I guess, with Kanye, because we got other shit to cover. What did you guys think about the space that he was in? And when I say space, because obviously we don't know where he is, but looking at him, what did y'all take away from that? Like, as he's doing the interview.
I thought he became increasingly more uncomfortable as the interview progressed.
Okay.
I don't think that on a stage like that was the healthiest way for Kanye to talk to Dave, but I'm happy he did it, just so he can like address some of those issues, even though it shouldn't have really been on that platform. But you can clearly see he's struggling internally still, and I hope he gets the psychotherapy and not just psychiatry that he needs.
Facts.
Quick question: y'all don't have any problem with Dave saying, because you didn't vote, you don't have a say?
We still on this?
Yeah,
no, I'm just curious. Like, everybody's fine with that. No alarms get set off.
No, I'm from the culture. It's like podding, right? A nigga can't tell me how to pod if you've never done it, and you can't tell me how to do this.
He has a right to have his opinion,
that means that somebody can't give you an opinion on your podcast.
Yeah, no, you can't, and only simply because of the simple fact that I'm doing this. I'm living it.
But he lives in the U.S.
Yeah. Forget that.
Voting is a right, not an obligation.
I'm not saying it is, but if you live in the U.S.
But if he chooses not to exercise his right, that should be fine.
And that's great.
Yeah, but there's consequences
But then to say a man doesn't have say, that doesn't There's nothing wrong with that.
No. The difference is I'm saying he doesn't have a say with me. I'm not saying he doesn't have a say in general. What I'm saying is the way I move. If we're like we're potting. Hold on, I'm talking. If we're potting, if we're potting. No, listen what I'm saying because it applies for all of us. If we're potting. And the random people that walk in and out this building, if someone comes in here and says, "Hey, yo, you should move that camera up a little bit, and you should do it," and I say to him, "Hey, fam, are you a videographer?" "Oh no, I just thought maybe it would look cool." Okay, no, shut the fuck up, get out. We're recording.
Okay, but that's you. That's you. That's Brandon. Hold on, that's Brandon Hall. But the same responsibility that you bestow upon Kanye, you have to bestow upon David Letterman, correct? So when he says something like that, broadcasted to the world, he should be held to a higher standard, right?
Who should be held to a higher standard?
David Letterman, and saying you don't have a say. Or it's only wrong when it's something that you don't agree with.
Well, first off, I started my defense by saying I'm saying me. That's how I am. I'm not saying that's for anyone else. This is now me taking a Kanye book. I'm only talking about my experience. What I'm only saying is I could see how someone that is a true patriot, because there are true patriots in the world that exist, that live and breathe American culture and really are for American culture. And him and David saying, "Yo, I'm not really into politics, but I vote. It's important. We can't have this conversation because you don't know what I've been through as a voter."
So you can't be a patriot unless you vote?
That's not what I'm saying.
That's
Why
exactly,
are y'all twisting your words? What I'm saying is there are true. What I simply said was, yo, there are true patriots in the world. I'm talking about David Letterman saying, yo, I am a voter, and because I'm a voter, I feel a way about the current administration. You don't have the same pains because I stood in line, I voted, I did things.
So basically, he's saying because I'm a voter, I'm more important than you.
I'm not saying that's what.
No, I'm saying that's what Dave said.
It wasn't a level of importance.
Yeah, he's not talking.
How
about
are you making
importance.
political statements if you didn't even?
You haven't run the political.
You literally haven't even entered the political space, but you are campaigning for this man.
Yeah,
and you're not even like you're over here trying to remove yourself when it's convenient and saying, "Oh, I don't vote ever," but then letting everything happen, like pan out to this, and it's like, no, you don't have a say so because you didn't fill out a ballot.
And that's my only thing where I say that situation right there was almost the reverse of Kanye, right? In the sense of Kanye has been told, yo, you can't do certain things or whatever the case may be. And David is saying, well, yo, you can't have this conversation because I've run this course. I've run a political course. I'm vested. I voted. You've never done that. So you don't know what voters feel like. It's the same shit. It's the same. What he's saying is accurate. As a voter, when you go and stand on them hot lines, you argue with people, or you got to go fill out the ballot, or whatever happens in your experience. That is an experience. So, and when things don't turn out the way that you wished it would turn out from a voting perspective, it's a little disheartening.
So let me ask you this: so if you watch American Idol but don't vote, you can't comment on the singers?
We're not campaigning for them to
but that's my whole entire point. What legitimizes a man's opinion?
It's all right. So what you're saying? Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Yeah, if you, okay. I'm for this club.
Oh wait, so here. So if you watch American Idol and you don't vote in American Idol, but you're complaining because the person that you wanted to win didn't win, and if I ask you, did you vote for that person?
But he didn't do that.
But that's the point of voting.
I'm speaking to the concept that you brought.
Okay.
We're running around in circles here.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit redundant.
At the end of the day, I'm unmoved. I feel like that if you're going to be the walking billboard for Trump and you didn't even have any involvement in the process of getting him elected, or you got him elected. Like, it's literally like you can't say anything.
I just think even with that, and again, to your point, we're beating a dead horse. I think there's so many different layers of this that it's hard to say what side is what side is who. But for me, from an understanding perspective, I understand so much more now Kanye's position and how he feels and what he's dealing with. And again, like I said before, you can't. I'm never gonna shun someone for how they feel. I just wanted him to be a little bit more educated because what he's backing or what he deems to be freedom of speech is really hurting us, including him as a people. Like that for me, like I was watching a bunch of interviews. There was some other interview I saw with him, and someone asked him a question. He couldn't even answer it. He said, "Yo, with what you did, how do you think your mom would feel about that?" And he couldn't even answer. He was damn near in tears with it. It's certain things that again I think he's still dealing with internally. And for the Sunday service shit, I think that truly is healing for him. Yeah. Like seeing how he was at the end of that in bliss and kind of just in a state of peace. I was happy to see him connecting with something that was making him better.
Also, it's interesting that you were talking about how when everyone says that he needs to do one thing, but he just is automatically going to do the other. It's all about purpose and intention, right? If the purpose and intention of you doing something is to prove someone wrong, at the end of the day, it's never going to turn out being okay.
Yeah.
And you're not always going to be happy at the end of the day when it comes to it. Like, if you're going to do something, do it because you truly believe in it and you want to do it. But don't do it because you want to prove other people wrong or go against the grain of what everyone else thinks. Like, if that's how you really think, then that's how you really think. And I also think that, before we continue on, I think another thing, too, is, we live in a society where people can't even tell a difference between criticism and constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Or challenging versus bullying, right? Those are not the same things. And I think sometimes people view it as the same thing. And I do think when some of the conversations that granted, there are some people on social media that attacked him and they didn't even understand anything, right?
Sure.
I will give him that. But I do felt like there were some people that genuinely wanted to have a conversation with him, and whether it's for challenging or understanding, and wanted to have that conversation, but he viewed it as, oh, you're attacking me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you've always been attacked your entire life, and if you don't deal with that yourself from a therapy perspective, you're going to always feel like everyone's coming at you and they always have bad intentions, and you're going to react such way.
Yeah, I agree.
He's an artist and he's sensitive about his shit.
Yeah, as you should be.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck it. All right, let's move on a little bit. I think for all music lovers and music purchasers, this is not really a surprise, but it is a surprise. Apple, well, this is alleged because I don't think Apple has actually formally gone out and said that this is happening, but Apple is apparently going to be shutting down iTunes. Now, the rumors have been circling for quite some time about this whole situation that, there was rumors of them merging with Disney, then merging with Netflix, then merging with all of these other streaming platforms. But now, in fact, more and more reports are coming out, in fact, stating that, hey, Apple is, in fact, looking to shut down iTunes, and they're looking to partner with applications, maybe like a Netflix or like a Hulu. So I guess, what do you guys think the future of Apple or just streaming now with music or just across the board? Do you think it's haphazard the way that this is happening, or do you think this is going to be something that will be fruitful from a consumer perspective and maybe even from a business perspective? Even though I don't think you can get 50-50 on it, but what do y'all think?
That's a lot.
I know.
That is a lot, bro. I don't know, man. I'm conditioned to buying music. I like buying music.
Yeah.
I like having music. When I was little, I went buy CDs, bootleg tapes.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that stuff. I wanted to support the artists I like. Streaming is cool, but even now, like, I stream a song for a while and then I'll end up buying it for $1.29.
Yeah, right.
Because if iTunes goes down or Apple Music goes down, where's my music?
Yeah.
We come from a different generation where we did buy the CDs.
Yeah.
But we have to consider Gen Z coming in and
Scumbags.
but they've literally never had
whole
to buy.
generation?
They've never had to like take the tapes and record them from the radio or like get the CDs.
Oh, that's the golden era.
I know, right?
You put the tissue
with the
in
play and the record at the same time.
And then when you want to record over, you put the tissue or tape over the little slots and just put that
you
shit in.
use the pencil to rewind it or whatever.
They don't know. That's what they're scumbags. They don't know anything about that.
But they come from some place that's always going to have a way to access the
accessible,
music.
yeah.
So it's not like they find any value in actually owning the thing.
But I wonder,
That's terrible.
like,
What, about the stream thing?
Yeah, I mean, like, that's authentic. Like, you feel something. You have a connection with the artist. Like, you took your time out to actually sit there, find a tape to record over. You have to, like, damn, do I record over this one? Do I record over that one? I need a blank one. I need a new one. You have a connection with the artist.
So what's worse, though? What's worse? Them doing this streaming thing, or our generation doing the piracy LimeWire stuff?
At least it was appreciation.
Whoa.
the
I just wanted more of the artist.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm keeping
We
it
didn't have a way.
Napster. I just wanted more.
Napster,
more.
LimeWire, like,
Napster, all that
crashing
shit was life.
No, but like, if we look at it as a bad thing, I mean, we also come from a generation that had no problem taking music without paying at all.
Oh, now it's a we thing, huh?
Yeah, because you are old, so millennials, right? But
You're older than me.
No, I'm not. You haven't proven it.
now you old, but but like, think about it, right? We crack on Gen Z and all that stuff for the streaming stuff, but our own generation literally would go on LimeWire with the hopes of getting the right song and ripping it. and not even paying a dime for it.
Damn, do you think we're the cause of this shit? Like, really think
Absolutely.
Oh my
about it.
God.
You think about it, right?
Without a doubt.
No. It's Gen X.
No,
It's Generation X.
Do you think, honestly though, do you think Gen X's will ever know the feeling of going and purchasing your
You mean
first,
Gen Z?
or Gen Z rather? Do you think that they'll know what that feeling feels like to go and purchase your first album and not stream it? You get what I'm saying? Like, I own it. Like, yeah, like.
So like Travis Scott has a vinyl, they're gonna be like, I want to.
Yeah, but I just feel like
You said they were vinyls.
I just past that. I think that it's almost like I feel like this is the start of when DVDs first came and the start of when Blu-rays came. You know how like there's generations of things like that happen that just changed the world. Floppy disk, the fucking
They
hard.
done fucked up VHS.
Yeah, like,
It was Blu-ray and HD, right?
so no, it starts. Hold on, what was the
It was
before,
Blu-ray
before VCR? What was that shit? What is it? Betamax?
Betamax.
Betamax, right? So it's Betamax and VCR. From VCR to DVD. From DVD to Blu-ray. From Blu-ray to
Fucking Apple TV and
Apple
shit.
TV. From Apple TV to 3D. Then from 3D to 4K.
Am I already outdated? I just got it out.
Hold on, 3D was back in the 80s. You had the red and blue glasses.
No, but it's that's true too.
That's an
miss
impressive
those
chain that
glasses.
you
I
put
used to
together on
keep
the
'em.
spot.
On the spot, right?
Yeah, I like that.
That's clean. But no, but I just think about it. Like I feel like I'm. It just got my wheels turning of what is the next thing.
They're gonna download it right to your brain.
That's scary to think
Chip.
about.
Insert chip.
Right? Like, how do you top iTunes? For them to just shut
Pause.
it down. How do you top iTunes?
Y'all are some immature motherfuckers.
pause that.
Like,
You can't pause
guys,
that.
relax.
Come on.
Relax,
How do you
okay?
top that? What do you do to top?
There might be a nigga out there
fucking-
named iTunes. You can't top him. Okay?
DJ Ice.
Man, if there's a nigga named iTunes out there, man, name the kid ET for all of that.
iTunes is gonna be in our comment boxes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we had some interesting names, so
Yeah.
that's very possible. I don't know what it is, but there is going to be something bigger and better after. I mean, like even when here's a perfect example. Athletes, right? We are when everyone was in Michael Jordan, they are probably like, oh, who's going to be? We don't know who's going to top him. We don't know
Yeah.
anything. And then LeBron James came,
Yeah.
right? It's like every 10 years, 10, 20 years, there's something bigger and better that will come, and that's just the life cycle. I don't know how you say it. It's just a cycle.
But here's my thing. That's what got me thinking. Is it life cycle, or are we being programmed to think that it is a life cycle, that this next best thing that is being positioned to us marketing wise in our faces on sponsorships, is this person or item or object really the next best thing, or are we constantly being programmed to think it is when it's really not?
I think it's just a matter of accessibility right now, like the streaming and everything. It's just easier.
I think it's technology
Yeah,
too.
technology.
I mean, we have to keep in mind every decade. Like, think about it, guys. Like, cell phones just started popping off in the 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah.
And that was not that far ago. And it's been progressing.
I would say late 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What?
it's
Word.
late to-
I was around
Oh,
there.
yeah.
It
Well,
is-
yeah, no, but
I had a
remember, you
BlackBerry
had,
in
but no,
2007.
but like,
No, I'm just saying, man.
but cell phones. I mean,
I had a
but
BlackBerry in
cell phones were
2010.
around before. They were but like the
You know
90s and
big
early
joints?
2000s is when the
They're
cell
car
phones
phone.
progressed.
Yeah.
Because
Little car phones.
they had cell phones even before that, but it didn't
Yeah.
start progressing until the 90s and early 2000s that it started picking up a
Facts.
lot more because
I agree.
they made
Yeah.
it smaller.
I definitely
They made
agree
it
with
more
that.
Oh, yeah,
accessible,
yeah.
right?
But that was the era, not to cut you off, sorry, but that's
Yeah.
the era where they started figuring that, to your point, that, all right, we may have something here.
Yeah.
Let's fine tune
Yeah.
this motherfucker.
But
So,
what
yeah, I
we're
agree with
holding
you.
right now is such a big jump.
Yeah, it is. Well, think about it.
From that Nokia? From that Nokia?
It was like indestructible though.
Oh, you can
Yeah,
throw that
yeah.
shit off a 30-second building.
Everyone's a
That's-
genius. You know that we're all cyborgs, right?
No, but check this shit out.
We're all
And
cyborgs?
this
And
is
we
how
are.
this is how much we're so programmed and not really thinking about shit. So I was watching documentaries. 'Cause I got caught up on watching documentaries last night, right?
See, you got
And
programmed already.
I did get programmed, but on the low. But check this shit out. Do you know like the first four? I think it was like the first 4 Macs, right? Had I guess X amount of gigabytes, right? Do you know this phone can do 4 times and store 4 times more data and compute it faster than any of those computers that were said to be like revolutionary machines?
I'm not surprised.
Like, it's interesting when you think about shit like that.
If you look at technology sells you for the future, but it's really about the now.
Definitely.
Because there's always going to be something that they're going to fine tune and fix to make it better and better and better later on, right?
Yep.
Everything from the horse and wagon. Then we got fucking cars. Bitches didn't know they could fly and shit. Now they can fly and shit, right? But like,
That's a t-shirt. Bitches
didn't know they could fly and shit. And now they can, right?
But did y'all see the sauce E put on it? She said bitches didn't know they can fly and shit. Anytime any woman does this, you know they mean that shit, boy.
But technology is more so for it's interesting, right? Because we think of technology of always being for the future, but a lot of times technology is solving the problems now with the hopes of continuing to solve future problems, right?
Yeah.
So like cell phones, right? They start out with fucking cell phones the size like this fucking big. They just want you to talk to another, like be able to call your boo without that landline your mom picking up on, right? Then after that, they're like, damn, no one wants to carry that suitcase plus the phone attached. So then they did the phone where it has the antenna. And they do it one problem by another, by another, by another. And so technology, but it's funny because they market technology to always be about the grandeur of the future.
Yeah.
Technology is only meant to solve the shit that's happening now with the hopes that it'll still be solving that problem another one later on. And if it doesn't solve that problem to a certain point, they switch it. That's what Apple did. They had iTunes. Oh, there's a void. Let's fill it. Then they realized, damn, this is not solving the problem. Then they made Apple Music. Damn, this is not solving our problem for us and just in general. How can we fill it? Then they had Apple TV.
Yeah.
Oh, everyone's doing podcasts, etc. And they just continuously are solving different problems here and there for the now.
I had a crazer, and I thought I was everything because it was like the slim razor.
What's a crazy?
Young snapper, what's that?
Razor.
Hey, Kyle, you don't have a mic, fam.
Yeah.
Thanks.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit! I thought
No. All right.
Yeah.
I know what a razor. What's a crazer?
The crazer was a slender little razor, and it was like, it literally was like an inch wide, but like 3 inches long. And so it was like really, really cute. And I was like, ooh, I'm top notch.
Yeah.
But before that, I had like the first front facing camera because I had a little camera that like rotated and you just, like, moved your finger. Anyway,
I think my first phone was the Nokia shit.
Yeah.
The original Nokia shit that had the snake where you could hack
Fucking
it.
block
That was
phone.
a block phone, and then
You can bust a cap in someone's ass with
and
that.
literally can throw.
yeah, and then I
Like
felt,
you literally could throw that phone and bust someone in the
I
head.
felt like an OG, triple OG when I got the Motorola Razr, the flip joint.
Yeah. Am I the only one that thought the Crazer was better?
With the metal back that you
Yes.
can clip off and put.
Yeah.
Fam, I was kind of lit. I
had a two-way pager.
Huh?
I had a two-way.
Yeah. By that point, I was a junkie at that point. I started buying pagers. My parents thought I was dealing drugs. So I had all types of different electronics in the crib. Your parents never thought that? Like that was a thing. Like, no, listen what I'm saying. Like your parents didn't come from that school of like, yo, what? Like, why you got a pager for? Like, cause there was like this whole big thing of them people thinking that anybody that had a pager had drugs or was selling drugs. You never
that.
grew up in it. I knew you grew up.
How old are you?
Nope.
What did you
I,
I'm fucking with you.
But, I'd never.
I'm just saying I missed the whole pager era. That's what I'm saying.
you missed a
You
whole.
missed mad eras though.
Will
You missed
Wilson,
mad
I'm
eras.
good. You was not outside.
Yeah,
dude.
like he's missed mad eras. He's missed Prince. He's missed mad eras.
Nah, don't.
All right, my bad. We won't
Wilson
rehash
was
that.
not outside.
Yeah, it wasn't outside.
At
But
all.
No, I never had that issue. My parents were always into tech, so I never had that issue. Plus, I mean, little Erin, do I look like I sell drugs? No.
Yeah.
yo, you the perfect.
I can definitely see that.
You're the perfect person to sell drugs.
Yeah.
No,
You got the perfect
I'm
front
not
going
the
on.
perfect person because the fact that I'm black does not make me the perfect person. It's
No,
usually
it's
like
not
that.
that. It's not.
No. The perfect person. No, the perfect person because everyone, some people always assume some black person sells drugs. It's a stereotype, right? But you get that one person who's like a blonde girl from Malibu. That's a fucking great
Yeah, that's
drug
probably,
dealer
that's
right
probably
there.
your connect.
She had a two-way.
Nah, man.
Probably your connect.
Nah, that's not my. Because look, Cameron Diaz used to sell to Snoop.
Yeah.
Perfect drug dealer.
No, that was the other way around.
Yeah, I thought it was-
Snoop
I thought it was-
definitely sold her weed.
Yeah, I thought it was Snoop to her.
Nah, in my mind, she definitely sold.
Either
to
way,
him.
there was some sort of drug transaction.
She definitely sold to
I'm
him.
with it.
Yo, but
But what did she sell, though?
This is gonna be completely off basis, but again, because I was watching documentaries, and it goes back back into you guys' tech conversation about how you said we solve for now and don't solve for the future. I thought about that, right? And then I watched a documentary on Endgame last night, and it just broke down everything. But in short of it, which I thought was interesting, was that the reason why Tony was so successful is because he went into and pointed out all of the flaws, or took advantage of all of the flaws in all of his previous Iron Man suits to be able to do what he did in Endgame. So like every Iron Man, there was always a new suit in the Iron Mans, and each one of them had an enhancement, right? So like, for example, like when in Iron Man 3, he fights the dude, Whiplash, I think it is. He fights him, and he has electromagnetic shit, and it shuts down his power of his suit or whatever. Yeah. In Avengers, when he takes that electric shock, he absorbs it, and he says, when he fights Thor, he says, oh, would you look at that? It works. Like, so in every enhancement, he took advantage of that. So because of that, when he was able to go back into the past, he was able to pinpoint certain things. Like in Avengers Infinity War, his suit is like almost like a liquid over him that pours over him. So there's no way to get in. But in Endgame, when he goes back to the past, the suit that he's wearing in that Battle of New York shit it still has the vintage shit where there's open spaces and stuff. That's how Ant-Man is able to go into a suit and give him the cardiac arrest.
You say all that to say?
No, I just think that's the point. That's the point of what she's saying, of how I think that's how, or not think, I know that's how he was the forward thinking of looking at the little mistakes that we've made from a technology perspective, or that he's made from a technology perspective, and he was able to enhance his suit to where he was able to pull off Endgame and save the world. But I thought that was interesting. What if we were able to do that? Like if there was a Tony Stark of the world that really thought about innovation and really thought about taking technology. Yeah, but I'm talking about taking technology and really.
He is kind of Iron Man.
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider him Iron Man.
That's who Tony Stark based his character on.
No, I realize that. But I don't know that he's Iron Man.
You don't?
Like, I don't know that he has the same. He doesn't have the same. I guess
swag.
I don't know if it's swag.
That's basically what it is.
I don't know. I wouldn't say it's swag. It's I don't know, power maybe. I don't know that he has the same influence.
They gave him. He's able to like dig underneath the city.
Yeah.
No, I know,
Have you
but
drove a Tesla yet?
Yeah.
No, but hear what I'm saying.
He's building underground tunnels.
I get that, but what I'm saying is Tony Stark. Think about Tony Stark. Tony Stark has a tower. He has all these amazing things.
Elon is trying to send people to Mars.
Yeah.
He's trying to send people to Mars.
I know. But I just don't think.
Like, what more do you need?
I know.
He didn't go up against Thanos. Chill.
Yeah, I think y'all miss what I'm saying. I'm not saying that.
He made a handheld flamethrower.
Yeah, all that's great. What I'm saying is, I don't think that he's.
Did you just brush over a handheld flamethrower?
What am I saying? I don't think that his influence is as impactful as a Tony Stark.
He made Tesla.
Not yet. He's a young Tony Stark.
I'll give you that.
All right.
I'll give you that. That's what I'm saying. I don't think
go.
like the innovations in a granted we're talking about obviously fantasy world here, but the innovations that Tony Stark came up with everything. Like even you think about the barf technology with recreating memories and all of this shit. Like
quantum realm shit.
Yeah, like
figure out an answer.
Can you
for
imagine if someone like Elon had that power? Like what the world would be like.
And you still have STIs out there.
That's a whole nother.
Can't get a cure for that.
But that's nature. You can't. What Mother Earth and nature has brought to us, you can't completely destroy unless you want to destroy the whole Earth.
Yeah.
Listen, man, humans haven't changed in 1,000 years.
I'm just saying.
All right, now
it's gonna change.
Humans haven't changed in 1,000 years.
All right, so let's
man.
go deep. What do y'all think about artificial intelligence?
Can I speak on this? Okay, so I went to a panel that. So no, relating it back to like black people. Apparently, the artificial intelligence is picking up on traits of like its creators.
Go ahead, say it. I read it. Go ahead.
So the AI is turning racist, and if we don't have to get more black people in tech, they actually showed a picture of Michelle Obama and Serena Williams, and it was like 90% man. And so if we don't get more black people and women in tech, these AI it's just going to turn really ugly really fast, and that's what they're more likely to hit. Like if the cars that are automatically driving more likely to hit black people. It's just like a fact.
They only
It's like that
recognize white
faucet.
people.
Like that faucet
I know.
couldn't recognize a black man's hand to put the water out, but it recognized a white person's hand.
And that's the scary part.
So
like,
that's
what?
the thing. Again, in my documentary, where I ended last night.
I feel like these documentaries are Brandon's
I don't know what the black
documentary.
people
Like
know.
him.
We're in the end game now.
Listen, was hard. I give you that. That was hard. But no, y'all ever be? Come on, everyone slips into a fucking wormhole with YouTube. Y'all don't ever just be up, can't sleep, and you see one video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's like fucking cat and dog videos, not like the world's fucking ending. Let's look at every possible thing that can fuck us up in this life.
Yeah,
I will be watching that shit.
I will preference it. I'll preference it by saying I'll be watching some wild shit. I will say that. I watch conspiracy theories. I watch aliens.
Yo, he's definitely an ASMR. He watches ASMR.
Yeah,
I no shade.
Thank you.
I go to AI panels just for this shit. Like the same thing. I'm like, what's happening?
I pay attention to artificial intelligence. I pay attention to tech. I pay attention to video games because even though I could create a theory where I feel like as video games get more and more graphic and more detailed, it's another way for them to reprogram us. But that's for another episode.
Well, yeah.
I can get into even music, just because in music, I live and breathe music. I watch so many documentaries and just look at how like people compute information and how they see notes. I think all of that is programmed, and I think it's when you add in AI, it's interesting when you see some of the results. Like I read that result about the racist shit. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
Getting into the AI subconscious, but it's weird because they shouldn't have a conscious.
They shouldn't have a subconscious. That's the thing that they're discovering is like, yo, we're creating these templates of people. And while they're supposed to be just like a program, similar to you plugging your shit up to your laptop or a flash drive, their technology is creating something. It's literally like Vision in Avengers.
Well, from what I've heard, it's more so a lack of representation.
Well, that's
so when they test out like the recognition, whatever technology, they're not using black people for it.
Yeah.
So that's why the machines aren't recognizing
Well,
us.
if that's the case, if they don't have the subconscious like that, why do they tell you not to tell your AI like bad words? It's like they develop anger now. It's like it's weird. I don't even know. It's like
No, I was only referring to like the not recognizing black people, not seeing them.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Well,
But as far as what you're talking about, that's happening.
Well, it's common in at least I think so. Most black folks don't really fuck with technology.
I don't have that
like
Alexa in my house.
Yeah, like no, I'm saying there's difference. Like in my house, yeah, of course, like everyone is tech. I'm tech, but like I think about my mom or people like that. Like I could show my mom. I think everyone's had this conversation. You try to show your mom or someone older how to do something, and they're like, "Oh no, baby, I'll just go mail the check that'll be there."
South,
in like
they be like,
"It's
"It's the devil's work." We literally call it the devil's work.
I mean, in some ways, it kind of is because like they're utilizing more technology. Like the fact that you could be on Instagram, right, having a conversation with your friend, and then a fucking ad pops up because of a conversation you had, and that technically these platforms, they're as long as you have their application open, they are allowed, well, in their own way, they're allowed to listen into what you're saying, and even that wasn't the issue. It wasn't the issue with
Facebook.
No, the voice, like the Google Homes and stuff that it was.
Oh, my fault.
What?
Because you're talking about the listening thing.
Yeah.
Do you know in your iPhone, there's an app? Well, it's already in your iPhone. It's not an app. It's in your settings, where you can make your iPhone a listening device.
Yeah.
So if you have the AirPods, you can walk out the room.
Your shit just turned its light on.
Everything.
You look, see, they got him. They got him.
Yo, they tell you shut up.
They're like, hey, yo, you better
they're like, you better shut the fuck up.
Relax. Hey, Apple, look, we didn't know. It's cool.
Well, my whole entire point is I used it at work. I was listening to everything in the room. You can hear pens drop, everything.
And now they know that you're listening to them. So way to out yourself.
If you ever see my phone in here, just know I'm on to you guys.
You're listening to us.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. I'm gonna stomp that shit.
You ever see Demolition Man?
Yeah.
With Sylvester Stallone?
With Sylvester Stallone?
When they had people were living underground?
Yo, so all right, so if we're gonna go a little bit deeper, do y'all think that like the cryogenically frozen system that they use,
Ted Williams?
Ted Williams, do y'all think that either A, that exists now, or B, that is something that they're working on?
Hell yeah. That's the end game is people want to live forever.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to die.
Yeah.
Ted Williams froze himself and said, throw me out when the technology exists to throw me out.
I mean, listen, plastic surgery is going to turn from plastic surgery to plastic new bodies. Like, transfer my soul over to another body.
Yo.
Kind of shit.
Can you imagine that?
What's that joint? Carbon.
Y'all better get right.
Carbon, altered carbon.
Yep.
That's
dope.
crazy.
That shit's real.
Subconscious out the back of his neck and put it in a new body.
But then it's scary, though, because then in the movie Get Out, right, you're going to have people that will have specific bodies that they want to fantasize with. So they'll put themselves into a black man's body just for fantasy purposes, but then they'll get out of it after.
It's called Strange Days, starring Angela Bassett.
Yeah.
Cool. The movie.
That's some
dope.
scary
Like,
shit.
isn't that crazy?
That's some scary shit.
check
I'm
that
glad
out,
we're
kids.
living now, so we don't have to
Yeah.
live later.
Word.
And no shade.
What do you
I
mean
feel
when
live
they
through it.
leave all the black and Latinos on the earth and move to Mars?
Yeah, move to Mars or some
Let's
shit.
try into this, especially with being black in America. That's enough.
Word.
Anyway,
Yeah, I mean, I guess to the fans, listeners, viewership, let us know what you guys think. Do you guys believe in artificial intelligence? Tell us what you guys
It's
think
here.
about Kanye.
It's already
Believe this shit's already happening.
Yeah, I
This
guess
shit's
that's
happening. What are you talking about?
I guess that's already a stupid question. All right, fuck it. Y'all believe in it. I know y'all believe in it.
It's literally-
Yeah, let's just clear that up. But
walking.
let us know what you guys think about all the topics. Be sure to subscribe. Grassroots Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Be sure to hit the notification button, again, to be notified for our latest to the greatest episodes. And I guess that's it. I'm Brandon, Killabh Hall.
I'm Erin Ashley Simon.
Ariel, but follow me on at Ari Ivory.
Hey.
Hey.
I am regular Nas.
I am Wilson.
And we out.
Grassroots.